Hey everybody, this is Clear, Clay, Caleb, whatever you whatever you want to say. Really, I'm just improving a little bit here. I'm just kind of just talking off the cuff a little bit. Like it's a nice little chat because it's a new year. Same fucking me, but you know how it is sometimes. Shit happens and life gets in the way, but that's what I want to talk about today. So, obviously, 2024, started doing all these videos, my buddy Kieran, on this channel. No, it's just, it's an old channel. It's a channel I started fucking 10 years ago. Well, 12, nearly 13 years ago now. This, because it was just one of those things when I was a kid. I used to like to make YouTube videos, and a lot of my teenage years I spent doing that. And I stopped doing it because it's just, personal reasons, family, life gets in the way, and I stopped doing it. I was just like, it's not going to happen, so whatever, doesn't matter anymore. I was doing a lot of that for a lot of the years, and then, I joined a band. Was in a band for a year, and then I left, and didn't really know what to do with my life at that point. So, obviously then, earlier 2024, get my buddy Kieran, because we was already playing games together all the time, and, he'd always be coming over playing games, and I thought, fuck it, why don't we just start recording what it is, and what you see in those videos is literally no different from how we interact playing games anyway. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I thought I'd bring that up anyway, just because it's just it's a bit of insight on the fact that I didn't just start doing this out of the blue. It was something I'd been thinking about wanting to do for a while. A lot of it as well was, a coping mechanism for me in a lot of sense too. It was something to do. It was something to get stuck in with. It was a reason to, get up in the morning and do something and not just waste away in bed all the time. Granted, I was working at the time, but, it's just that kind of thing. But anyway, I want to talk about 2024 and the years leading up to it. But also as well, I've got a 2024 highlights video that's going to be coming out soon as well. So, it's not going to be all just this bleak shit. It's also, you're going to get some funny as well after this. When I'm done editing it, I didn't realise how many hours of fucking content it was, even though I thought we didn't upload that much this year, but it's still a lot to work through. Anyway. Well, where to start, really? Anyway, at the start of 2024, I was really struggling with my mental health. I was really depressed. I was in a job I didn't really like doing anymore, and I was just kind of in a negative place. I'll say that. And I was working through all that, and I was just getting up in the morning, doing my thing, and just sort of coming home and then sleeping. Just not really doing much at all. Just going through the motions of things, and just how that all sort of pans out for a lot of people. You sort of get stuck in these kind of mental health struggles. You kind of get used to this repetitive style of sort of just getting up in the morning, getting on with it, and then being excited to go to bed. When night comes, So yeah, I was stuck in a job I was just burnt out on. I'd been working there for about 2 years, and I was just I didn't really see any reason to stay around there, and I was just getting bored and just tired of doing the same shit over and over again. So I decided to leave, and it was shortly before that time where obviously we started doing these videos on YouTube, and that was the first time in a while I felt like a reason to kind of get back into being creative again. And I'm sort of giving it a disservice by starting here, because there was a massive build up to this point, and it wasn't just something I just thought about doing off the cuff completely. I had to there was shit that happened in my life previously that I want to get into. You kind of need to know the context in order to sort of understand where it is I'm sort of coming from this perspective. But all you need to know for 2024 so far is I was in a really bad mental health space, and that's obviously when I started doing all these videos and stuff. But it was but I found myself in this place now where I don't really know. I don't know. I think I just feel a bit lost in what I want to do in my life, and because I've gone through so many different things, so many different avenues of things that I've wanted to do. Be that, I don't know, like doing music, being in a band, like singing and all that stuff, being an actor and shit. It's I kind of feel like a lot of the time I flip-flop between these three modes of, wanting to be a musician, wanting to be an actor, or not wanting to do anything in my life and just playing Skyrim all day until the day I die, And it's kind of those three modes that I will flip between throughout the year, throughout my life, because I'm always kind of in this state where when everything gets tipped upside down in my life, I kind of just sort of retreat into my own little, dark corner of the world where, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to be in the same place as anybody else, and I'll get completely entrenched in all the things that distract me from how I feel. Be that movies, shows, video games, whatever else. Like it's kind of like, I get stuck in these ruts where it's just like, I feel so hopeless. I feel all this despair and these feelings of just, not wanting to be around anymore. And the only things that really give me any reprieve from those feelings are being creative, or just sort of indulging in different stories, be that through movies and stuff like that. But I really want to try and break out of that sense of feeling, that sense of like thinking, because it's like, like I started going to therapy this year and all those different things, and that's been helping. But it's just I will say, like, talking about these kind of things with other people, it can be very draining on the way that you sort of think about how you've sort of lived your life and the things that you've been through, because I think it's easy to sort of forget the things that you've been through and forget all the other kinds of traumas or past experiences, because you get so involved in the now that you don't realize how much the past has affected your mental state, and it has influenced your mental health in certain ways. And I think it's very important to talk about those things. I'll start from the beginning. I'll just work my way through. Fuck it, let's go. Alright, trauma dumping, let's go. If you don't want to, I will say, just quickly before I get into it, I'm going to get into some pretty sensitive topics that may be upsetting to certain people. I'm not going to get graphic with it or anything. I'm just saying, just to let people know, this ain't going to be a happy video. So if you just want to wait for the highlights and laugh at the funny, then maybe wait until that next video's out. Anyway, I'm just going to start balls a blazing. So, when I was a kid, I was a good kid. I had a good life going. I was sort of just fucking about, playing games, being a kid, just sort of, oh, what's all this then? What's that? Oh, that's a lovely little thing over there. I like that. Or just being interested in random shit. Like, oh, I know, I talk my mum's ear off all the time about like space and fucking roller coasters and shit. Like, I was so fascinated by things, and I would just constantly look them up, and I just have all this knowledge in my head that's completely useless to me now. Just from the fact of when I was a kid, I would just get obsessed with shit that I was interested in. So I just have all this knowledge in my head about random shit that has no impact on my life at all in any sense. But it's just nice to be able to just drop weird fun facts out of nowhere sometimes, It's like the idea of, oh, did you know it takes 8 minutes for the light of the sun to reach the earth, and if the sun suddenly disappeared, we wouldn't notice until 8 minutes later. It's just random shit like that. Very kind of common sense shit that is very easy to look up, but it's just the fact that I've got that in my brain and I just know it. There's other things too, but that's the most basic one I can think of that's like really just that a lot of people know already. But when I was in primary school, teachers were constant. They'd always be like, "Oh, have you gotten your son tested for? Would you like to get your son tested for like autism or ADHD and all those things?" And my mum was very caring in the fact of she didn't want that kind of thing to define me, because she knew that I was a very capable child. Because at home, I'd always be constantly showing her just, that I did care about learning, and that I did take things in at school and all those different things. But the teachers just seemed very dead set on trying to label me with certain ailments and things. Like constantly trying to label me with stuff like, "Oh, he must be autistic," or "he must have ADHD," and all those things. And yeah, I probably do to some extent. I'm definitely probably on that spectrum somewhere, but it's like, it's kind of just that thing of, I don't think it's that important, because I don't think it's really affected my life to a degree where I need to get a diagnosis for that kind of thing. And granted, in school, yeah, it probably affected me much more than it did nowadays, because I was in I didn't have many friends. I didn't really fit in well, because I was just a very imaginative kid, and I'd get judged a lot just because I'd play a lot of imaginary games. I'd use my hands as like to sort of picture like special effects in my head, because I get really, again, coming back to the movies thing, I used to love movies, especially action movies that just had a lot of flashy special effects in them. So when I'd be playing like pretend in the fucking playground, I'd be using my hands as like some kind of imaginary kind of, like I'd move my hands out and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's an explosion there." Or I'd imagine myself on a roller coaster, so I'd be moving my hands really quickly past my head to envision things moving past me really quickly. But looking back, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm thinking I must have looked fucking demented from an outside's perspective. But for me, that was something I liked doing. It wasn't because I was having a freak out moment or anything. It was just me trying to imagine a less bleaker life for myself. I'm being imaginative. I'm using my imagination, and I'm talking about all these different things in my own head, and playing through all these stories in my head that I'm sort of just improving as I go throughout the day. And then eventually I found other kids who did the same shit, and then we all started just doing it together. And then that was eventually just a thing of, which eventually led to me wanting to be an actor, which is really funny, because that didn't really happen. But never too late, is it? Anyway, but yeah, throughout school, my mum would constantly butt heads with teachers, because they would constantly try to tear me down and criticise me about every sort of thing, and they kind of babied me a bit. So in retaliation, I didn't really engage with primary school at a certain point, because it was I got in this feedback loop where I would try hard, I would try to impress the teachers constantly, but there'd always be something wrong with it. There'd always be something I'm doing wrong. They would always find something to criticise me for, always without fail. And I got sort of stuck in this rut of like, well, what's the point if everything I do, no matter how hard I try to do it, it's never enough for these people. It's never, "Oh, you done a really good job there." It's always, "Yeah, that's good," but it's always those little things. And I mean, I get it. I get it. But it's, I don't think you realize how much that affects you until you're much older. But it can be very heart-wrenching to work hard on something because you want to do good and you want to get better at something, and yet you don't really get any thanks or praise for it or anything like that. You only really get criticised for it. And obviously there's nothing wrong with criticism, nothing wrong with it at all. But it's just the fact of when it's always criticism, constantly. Never you done a good job there, or, that was alright, that is, that's good. Or when it's just constantly, oh, you could do this a bit better, or that shit, that is, you can do much better than that. And because they thought I was, because they had perceived that I was slower than the rest, they'd constantly baby me with teaching assistants and all those things, and it was, I personally feel like that really held me back in growing up, and obviously I don't think that's really affected me in a good way in life. But realistically speaking, as a child, that's really the only negative thing that happened to me during my childhood. Childhood-wise, I had a great childhood. I had a great one. It wasn't until I was 11. We're getting deeper. We're getting deeper now. When I was 11, I witnessed my dad have a seizure, which you can imagine is not a great thing to see when you are at such a developing age. And that same week, found out my dad had a brain tumor. I don't think I can really put into words how that shapes your perception of how life works as a kid. Because I feel like when you're a kid, you're not really thinking about stuff like, mortality, or, losing your father or whatever. You're not really thinking about those things. You're just thinking about, oh yeah, when's the next Call of Duty coming out? Oh yeah, I've been playing Modern Warfare 2 all day and Halo 3 all day. When I was a kid, that's all I was doing back around those days. I wasn't worried about I'm gonna die or my family gonna die. I'm not thinking about those things. I'm thinking about, do you want to come online and play Halo 3 Team Slayer with me, or capture the flag, please? Or I just want to play some games, Because when you're a kid, that's what life is. But then suddenly something happens in your life that's very intense, and suddenly now you got to grow up really quick. And that's what it was for me. I had to grow up really quickly. Obviously, I didn't stop playing video games or anything, but it was just that thing of a lot of that childlike innocence that I had at that time was ripped away from me pretty quickly, because it's just that thing of, oh shit, this is what life is. This is reality. This is what life is. It's not fun all the time. And sometimes, yeah, it is really shit. And that's just something I'm going to have to get used to, isn't it? So that was a big part of my teenage years, growing up, and obviously having to deal with my dad suffering with cancer. But for a lot of my teenage years, my dad was alright. He was pretty good. He was, he had his bad moments, but he also had his good moments as well. Around like 2014, he went into remission and all seemed well. And it seemed good, from that point on. But then 2016 came around, and my dad, they saw the tumour had grown. My dad's cancer had come back, and that was just a whole, obviously not a good time. And also from that point on, my dad's movement started getting bad. It was very slow. It was a very slow progression. It wasn't like an instant thing that happened, but it was just this thing of you're watching someone who's cared for you your whole life, and now the roles are reversing. Granted, at a very slow pace, but you can tell that sooner or later it's going to be the other way around. And that's what happened. After school, I went to college to study music performance. and I was there for a year. In my second year, unfortunately, I had to drop out because, well, Mum had to go to work, and Dad couldn't be left on his own anymore. So, you know, I'd be at home with Dad, making sure that obviously the carers are coming over, looking after him, and he's able to, around this time though, my dad could still walk, but granted not as well. But this was around this time where he could still walk, but it was still a very laborious thing for him to be able to do it. But yeah, but then from that point, 2019, then in 2019, he was pretty much completely bedridden by that point, and so the next 3 years was mostly spent, looking after my dad, being pretty much a full-time carer. So I couldn't go out and get a job after college because I had to, I put my bootstraps on, pull my pants up, and get on with it. Then 2020 came around, and we all know what happened in 2020, don't we? Yeah, we do. Of course we do. Early 2020, my dad went into a coma, and he had to go to the hospital, and he was in there for a while. And the nurses were pretty much telling us, yeah, he's going to die. They were telling us that then, and I'm like, fucking hell, alright, fucking hell. So that was a very troubling time for me. But thankfully, he miraculously woke up, which was good. That was nice. I feel like it was just kind of one of those things of it wasn't his time yet, and he woke up. So then I started seeing someone, and then literally right after our first couple goes, it was COVID happened and ruined everything. And yeah, so so far shit hasn't had the best timing. So my dad pretty much spent the last year of his life pretty much indoors all the time because we couldn't take him out anywhere. But at the same time, I'm thankful he was here because we were thinking about sending him to a care home. Thank God we fucking didn't, because if we had done that, probably never would have saw him once over COVID at all. So because he lived with us still, we was able to see him. I'm sorry, I don't really remember a lot from this time, so I'm sort of trying my best to kind of get it out of my head. But yeah, obviously life continues, shit happens. I get into the groove of looking after my dad and spending time with him. As much time as you can, really. It's just all the way up until March 14th, 2021. My dad passed away the night before, and that was a strange time for me, as you can imagine. If you've ever lost someone, you understand that it's a lot of emotions that are very difficult to process. The problem with me is I didn't get that experience because I was subconsciously in the mindset of, I got to be strong for mum. I wasn't thinking about doing that. It just happened. I don't know why, because I'd always been a very emotional person. So it was pretty out of character for me to just emotionally shut down like that, which is what happened. And from that point on, I really struggled with feelings of emotions, feelings of empathy, just become very apathetic to everything. And I really struggled with that because also as well, with me struggling with stuff like depression and anxiety due to obviously trauma of my teenage years of having to deal with a sick parent, and obviously other things probably too. But it was a strange time because my mum obviously was going through it, doing the whole, and I'm here and I'm thinking, why don't I feel anything? Which is a crazy question to ask yourself. Sometimes you should do that if you're feeling like that. Just sit down and ask yourself, why don't I feel anything? It's that can mean anything, by the way. That can mean like, you just feel depressed, because I feel like feeling of depression is, a lack of feeling, right? You're not feeling anything. That's the thing, right? But it was one of those moments of where I didn't really realise that it was happening until a lot later. But it was, on the day my dad passed away, I had a big cry and a massive explosion of emotions that lasted like 20-30 minutes. And then after that point, it was all gone. Nothing there no more. And it took a long time to relearn how to, connect with people on an emotional level again, which strained a lot of relationships, which caused me to make some decisions I'm not exactly proud of around those days. But I'm not giving myself like what's the word? I'm not like trying to excuse behaviours I've done. I'm not saying I was like a horrible person or anything. I'm just saying I made some questionable decisions to do with relationships with other people, and that was purely just down to the fact of I was just really struggling with maintaining emotional connections with people. So if I'd find even the slightest little bit of, they have a problem with me, I would completely isolate and I wouldn't even engage anymore completely. I would just shut off completely and I wouldn't engage with them whatsoever, because I was terrified of upsetting people and I didn't want to do it. So but in turn of just full on isolating myself and detaching immediately, I would upset that person by doing that instead. So then that would create a feedback loop of me being like, oh, well, I'm a fucking piece of shit, aren't I? So, and yeah, that's a dick move. I'll admit to that. That's not a good thing. But it goes both ways too, because it's kind of, if I'm hurting, if someone's hurt me, I'm gonna completely shut off and isolate as well. So it's kind of, around that time I was hurting because of the actions of others, and they were hurting because of my actions too. So it's just, shit happens, is what it is. But let me delve into that a little bit. So late 2021, it was a few months since my dad passed away, and I'd started learning how to do metal screaming in around 2020, because I love metal music. That's my thing. I love all kinds of music, but metal is one of the big ones. That and Midwest emo are my two big ones, because I'm sad. And well, I started learning how to metal scream and all those things, and I wanted to join a band, so that's what I did. In 2021, I found this band, and they didn't have a singer; they were just playing instrumental. And I'm sitting there in the venue, and I'm watching them play. And the first thing I think when they play through their first song is, "I'm gonna be in this band." That was my thought process. I'm gonna be in this band. Kieran was with me, and he egged me on to just go up there and talk to the guitarist and just say, "Hey, heard you're looking for a vocalist." So. And me being in that band, granted, only a small part of my life, it was only about a year and a half I was in that band for. And I will say, that's the happiest I've been in years. Even though it ended horrendously, I won't get into that on here. That's from my therapist. But that was some of the best times of my life, you know. It was a massive change for me too. When I first joined the band, I lost loads of friends at the same time. So it was a massive shift in my life. Just a massive change. And obviously then, you know, went through the motions of being in a band and the fun that comes with that, but also the stress that comes with that was one of the best experiences I've had in my life. And it's definitely not an experience, and it's definitely an experience that I want to have again. But you know, I do cherish a lot of those moments, even though I'm only friends with the bassist still now. I don't talk to the other guys, unfortunately, but is what it is. When the band ended, it ended in a way that caused a lot of trauma for me. Because of the actions of one individual in the band, and it was just a whole situation that just really threw my life up in the air. And it was from that point, shut up. And it was from that point as well, the member who was causing all this trouble for me started living with us. And that was the first time in my entire life that I had ever felt suicidal. Yeah, that's the big word there, isn't it? Yeah. And that was a weird feeling to grapple with. And this was around 2023. Early 2023. And whilst this member was still living with us, I was really depressed. I was just miserable. And all the events that had happened eventually led up to a culmination of me attempting to end my life. And thankfully it didn't work. I'm still here. Can't get rid of me that easy. Shortly after that, that guy fucks off and I never see him again. And then shit starts sort of getting better, you know. I start working on a new project with the old bassist of the old band, you know, and I start talking to people and sort of getting to know people again. You know, I start writing music. I was still struggling mentally, but I was sort of coming out of my shell more. But I still really struggled with that numb feeling of no emotion, just and that pure feeling of apathy, you know. So come the beginning of 2024, we're right back there now. We're back there. I was on this antidepressant from the years 2019 till then. I was on sertraline, right? Now, I didn't know this, but you're only supposed to be on that for like 6 months, and I'd been on it for 5 years. So, obviously, I made a nice switcheroo to a nifty little drug called Prozac and a little bit of crack. No, I'm joking. That was game changing for me because suddenly I'm feeling all these emotions again, and I'm feeling all these feelings, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Suddenly I'm like, wow, my fucking empathy's back, all this shit's back, my emotions are back, I'm feeling again. And it was the first time in a long time I felt like a normal person again, you know. I still felt sad, but it was just a thing of, it's something that you wrestle with and you try to sort of get used to it and you sort of make it happen. Depression's something that you just deal with a lot of the time, and you just kind of you find ways to deal with it, be that through medication or other means, or like recreational activities or whatever. No matter how negative or positive they may be on your lifestyle, everyone finds something to do in order to help them deal with their emotions and their feelings that they go through, be it mental illness or just emotions in general. But 2024, granted, yeah, I'd started doing the channel again, doing videos, all those things, but I completely quit music for pretty much an entire year. Because there's something else I forgot to mention too. At the end of 2022, I sustained a vocal injury. Because I had a chest infection and I coughed a little bit too hard, and it just fucked my voice, and I couldn't scream anymore. I just couldn't do it. It just wouldn't work. And it's taken until now for my voice to fully heal. I took a year off, completely a year off. Of vocal rest, well, nearly 2 years of vocal rest. Then I'd sing every now and again, and I've recorded vocals for music I've worked on and stuff. But I pretty much had a very long time. There'd be long spaces of time in between me singing where I wouldn't sing at all, and that is what I had to do in order to get my voice back to where it is now. And if anything, I think I sound better. So, what can I say? Anyway, sorry. Back to... But yeah. Anyway, so 2024, I pretty much didn't do anything music-wise except for writing music for the projects I'm working on currently with one of my friends. So the YouTube channel was just another thing that I was able to do, that I enjoyed doing, and it was just another thing that I could do to kind of keep myself busy, Even though I didn't do a lot of it, I was still doing things, and I was still getting it all down and keeping myself busy, I was working a full-time job though as well, so I didn't have a lot of time. And when I was first working at my new job, shit was looking up. I was doing pretty well for myself, like mentally. I was doing pretty good. And around August, I'm going to say August, end of August, I slipped into one of the deepest depressive episodes I've ever had in my life. I felt worse than I did the year before. Overall, I just felt horrendous. I felt insanely depressed, and every day I'd wake up and I'd feel worse than the day before, and it became just something that would kept getting worse and worse and worse, to when I made the decision to find a therapist and start going to therapy. My first therapy session was on the 23rd of September. I had it. It was great. It was nice to talk about things and sort of, get some new perspectives about things and other things such as. But also, I took a week off work because I was ill. I had a bad cold. On the 24th of September, I was here. I was at home, alone. And I was still feeling absolutely horrible. I still felt completely depressed, and I was in a horrible state. And I tried to take my life. Yeah. So that was not good, to put it lightly, because if that had worked, I would have missed Sonic 3, and that would have been horrendous. But also, obviously, it was a very drastic decision that I made that was very stupid. Very stupid indeed. What a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to stuff like suicide attempts and things is the guilt you feel afterwards and the shame that you feel afterwards. You feel ashamed that it didn't work, but you also feel ashamed that you did it in the first place. So you have these constant conflicting feelings that go through your head. So it's a strange thing to navigate, and it's a very weird thing to talk about for me, because it's something that I've been very open with my mum and my closest friends, because I think that it's important when you feel like this, when you feeling these kind of feelings, to talk to people and be honest with your friends about how you're feeling, because I think it's better that you tell people that you're going through those feelings than to suffer in silence and then end up making that decision and it works, and then everyone's confused and they think, oh shit, we didn't know that you was feeling like that. I know that not a lot of people are lucky enough that they have a good social circle where they can talk to people about things like that, and I am lucky that I have a good social circle that I can engage with and talk about my problems with, even though when I do get low I tend to isolate myself and I don't talk to people. But I do see people's messages and I do take them into account. But yeah, I had a period of time where I felt a bit better for a few weeks. I'd say around October time I felt pretty good. And then November hit, and then I felt even worse than I did in September. And I was just like, fucking hell, I can't catch a fucking break here. So yeah, November 1st was my last day I was at work. And I felt pretty good that week. Saturday, Sunday, banging days they were, well good. And then Monday hit, and I'm on my way to work. And I don't think I can really describe just how horrendous I felt. Like, I hadn't felt depression quite like it. It was still a very new feeling to me. And sitting on the bus to work, and I'm just thinking, I can't do this. I just can't do it. So I got off the bus and I turned around and I went home. And I was off work for 3 weeks. I got some doctor's notes, sent them to my manager, and that's when those suicidal feelings came back. When I thought, oh, they're probably not going to deal with that again for God knows how long. And it's from that point on where it was a constant feeling that never went away, ever. It was constant. And, I had those 2 weeks off work, 3 weeks off work. And then after the third week, I thought, when it was time for me to come back to work, I felt exactly the same. So, I made a decision to leave my job and have some time off until I got better. And it was, and I'm still in that position now. So, it's weird. It's very strange, I'm on a high at the moment. I'm on like an up, but I've kind of plateaued a bit and I'm going back down again. So I wanted to do this video real quick before I talk about shit. So where am I now? Well, I'm at home and I, dickhead. Anyway, sorry. I'd say I'm in a weird place right now with my life. Don't really know what I want to do anymore, because it's like I enjoy doing music. I do. I enjoy being in bands. I enjoy writing music. I enjoy performing music. But also, when I was in school, I did a lot of acting. I did drama and all those things. And I've been flip-flopping with the idea for about the last year or so, you know, getting into acting and doing that as well. And I spent a long time of being like, oh, I can either do one or the other. But now recently I've been thinking like, why not fucking both? I can do both, can I? Yeah. In fact, you could do both at the same time in the same fucking thing, you know? That's what a fucking musical is. So, but I guess I just feel lost in that I'm very indecisive about what I want to do with my life currently. You know, I'm 24, I'm turning 25 in 10 months. And I'm at this weird plateau in my life where it's just like, I can either go this way or I can go this way, or I can take both of those lanes and put them into one big parallel line that goes forwards. And that big line right there, I think, is probably where I'm going to go with it. So I'm probably just going to do both at the same time, because quite frankly, I hate the feeling of FOMO, and I just want to do shit, you know? And, you know, sure, you know, I can stay at home all day, play Skyrim when I feel sad, and that's fine by me. That's fine, you know? I love playing Skyrim, and I love it. It's a great game. But it's also just a feeling of, I don't want to do that all the time. There's other shit I want to do, you know. But that's where I'm at currently. At the start of 2025, that's where I'm at currently. And you know, it's been a long journey for me emotionally, and it's been a long journey for me in experience. You know, there's a lot of stuff I didn't bring up because I don't really want it out in the public space, but I just want people to know, you know, I'm okay, I'm doing fine, whatever, doesn't matter, I'm balling my fucking eyes out. No, I'm joking. But it's also just a thing of, you know, life is precious, and I just didn't realise that until now. If you enjoyed this video, I don't know how you would have. This was fucking bleak as fuck, but I will have a 2024 highlights video coming out soon, when I can be asked to finish editing it, because it's taken me a very long time to do it, because there's just so much footage to watch through, and believe it or not, there's not a lot of funny stuff because I'm not a very funny person, but who cares? Who gives a fuck? So that'll be out hopefully maybe in the next couple of weeks or so, and you know, I had a break from recording because over Christmas, so I'm gonna get back into doing some more recordings and more Let's Plays coming out soon this year, and hopefully we can actually get a lot more videos out this year, because we didn't really get that many out because we had a lot of long periods where I was too sad to record anything or too busy to record anything. So I don't know if you got anything out of this, if you're still watching this, still listening, but hopefully someone out there who has gotten this far found that somehow helpful, hearing about my experience the last year or so. And hopefully this time next year I'll be here to say the same shit, or hopefully something a bit more fucking positive, because fucking hell, I'm sick and tired of it. Fucking, can I catch a break, please? Oh my fucking god, I'm so frustrated. You know what's annoying, right? Waking up in the morning and being like, Oh, can't wait to go to bed tonight. The fuck you mean? You got a day yet? You cunt. Oh, you fucking prick. Or like being like, you know, waking up at 10 in the morning and going, oh, I woke up nice and early. Let's go back to bed and wake up at 6 p.m. And then wonder why I can't go to sleep that night, the next fucking night. I'm a fucking dickhead, aren't I? I really am. I'm a fucking dickhead. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you got this far, hope you enjoyed the terrible driving footage that I recorded like 2 weeks ago. And yeah, this has been Caleb. Fucking off now. Bye bye.